to another episode of Wet Liberal Whenever. There is quite a good cause to get a little bit moody about, a little bit ranty. I've just paid my Vodafone bill. Now, my family, we have 4 phones, 4 people, 4 Vodafone bills. We pay our bills on time. I've also just paid a tax bill. That's my income tax and my corporation tax for my company. And I've paid my tax and I've paid my Vodafone bill. And I'm feeling a little bit poorer, but a lot less guilty and a lot less stressed. Those bills have been paid, that whole area has been dealt with. And then I read about a man called John Connors. What a lovely fellow he is. Now, John Connors was a very successful, high-ranking civil servant. He worked for Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. Those are the people that collect tax. Those are the people I've just sent my tax bill to. HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. That's where he worked for many years. Very successful, very high up. A senior executive at HMRC. Well, he wanted to move on. He wanted to change his career. Why shouldn't he? There is no reason he shouldn't. I totally defend his right to do that. So he left the public sector and he went into the private sector. He went and worked for a company called Vodafone. But of course he kept in touch with his friends. He developed a lot of social relationships at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, and he was good friends with a man called Dave Hartnett, who's still there. He works at HMRC. And there was a very, very big investigation going on, and it had been going on for many years, into the tax affairs of Vodafone. Because Vodafone shift a lot of their profits offshore. Isn't that a surprise? Who would have thought that a company would do that? A British company with its headquarters here would shift its profits offshore. But they did. And HMRC, oh, they're not happy about that. I don't shift my profits overseas, offshore. No, I don't. I pay my tax here. Anyway, Vodafone thought it was the correct thing to do for the benefit of their shareholders in a capitalist free market economy. Yeah? They thought the best thing to do was to shift their profits overseas, which meant that they didn't pay between 6 and 7, no one can quite agree what the figure is, between 6 and 7 billion pounds. 6 and 7 billion pounds. Yes. They didn't pay it. HMRC were investigating. They were going to get that 6 or 7 billion pounds out of Vodafone. It was only right and proper. They're a British company and they made those profits in this country from people like you and I who use their telephonic system. And a very good one it is too. So, there was a change in the government. A man called George Osborne became the new Chancellor of the Exchequer. Lovely little George, lovely little lad. And probably there was a couple of discreet chats in Whitehall between the HMRC and the Vodafone man who used to work there, who knows George Osborne quite well and has advised him on numerous occasions. And you know what? They let them off. Don't pay the 6 or 7 billion pounds in tax that you owe the British government. Don't pay it. Interestingly, at the same time, in the same week, and in the same newspapers that reported it, we reduced our benefits budget by between 6 and 7 billion. No one quite knows the sum. Let's save that 6 and 7 billion. Let's not give it to disabled people to help support them, to women who have been battered by their husbands. No, let's not. To disabled children or children with learning difficulties. No, let's not give the money to them. Let's make sure the money is used more usefully, safely, offshore, in an offshore account by Vodafone and their executives who get vast, gut-wrenching bonuses. Isn't that lovely? Because, of course, we know what would happen if we did demand the rightful legal tax from a company like Vodafone. Oh, they'd all go overseas and we'd lose the company altogether. You see, that's what's called financial blackmail. And the way that big corporations do it go, if you make us pay tax, we'll just leave and we'll take everything with us and then you can just sink. And the governments go, oh, don't do that, Mr. Vodafone, Mr. H-Boss Bank, Mr. International Banking people in the city. No, don't pay. You can have your bonuses and we'll pay more. Then there's the lovely Philip Green fellow. Now, this is such a romantic story. Lovely Philip Green. He runs a rag trade outlet store called, I was going to say Top Gear, but it's Top Shop. Top Shop. Lovely clothes and lovely. He's such a romantic guy that what he did was he bought his lovely wife a house in Monaco, and she lives in Monaco, and he's so lovely, and he probably flits over to visit her in a private jet every now and then. And not only that, he didn't just give her a house, he gave her his entire company. His entire multi-million-pound company. Isn't that sweet? Multi-billion-pound company. Oh, it's such a romantic story, isn't it? He must be such a lovely man. So he gave her this company. But of course, as she owns the company and lives in Monaco, they don't have to pay any tax. 1.7 billion, Philip Green knows. He's not paying it. 1.7 billion. Oh, what would the government waste that on? Oh, they just bring in hundreds of illegal immigrants and make them move into next to posh Tory MPs' lovely houses in the Cotswolds. Yes, so it's much better to let Philip Green keep that money and Mrs. Green, she's got 1.7 billion pounds of our money. Isn't she lovely? Lovely Mrs. Green. Why? I'll tell you how I found out about this story. I mean, I'm sure you all know about it. I found out about it because I saw a student on the telly, young lad, spraying, "Pay your fucking tax." Very rude. Very, very rude to use a swear word on the front of a phone shop. Very wrong, Vodafone. I totally sympathise with you. It's vandalism. It's stupid, crazy vandalism. What is that student doing? Hasn't he got anything better to do? Lazy sponger. Spraying "pay your tax" on the Vodafone shop? How rude! Anyway, if you have been, thank you for listening.